This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, Bruchim Haba, welcome everyone. We continue in our series on Tefilla, which is sponsored by a dear friend, Rabbi Rosa of Los Angeles, Lili Nishmas, his brother, Tzvi ben Levi Yitzchak. His neshama should have an aliyah. We're continuing, I believe this is our third year on the series of Tefilla. I don't know if I thought we would still be up to Yehi Chavoid, but here we are, and we're really in the last part of davening, which is still constituted as Nigadelcha. We mentioned that in Psukei de Zimra, in Baruch Sha'amar, there are 5 expressions of praise. Nigadelcha, Nishabechacha, Nufa'ercha, Nazkir Shimcha, V'namlichacha. So we're still in the part of davening which is called Nigadelcha, which is braiding, where the various psukim from different parts of Tanakh are tied and twisted together, which have a common idea. And this year, Parshas Bereishis, we're continuing with the Tefillah of Yehi Chavoid. Now, one important thing about Yehi Chavoid is we need to count the number of psukim in Yehi Chavoid. The number of psukim in Yehi Chavoid, there are 18 psukim in Yehi Chavoid. Not only that, there are 18 mentions of Hashem's name in Yehi Chavoid. Now, what other items of davening do we have that are 18? So this is the subject of the comments of the Arizal HaKadosh. Let's see if I could... Okay, right here we have a siddur. So, if the Arizal says, Gam Yudches Brachos Yesh, Mi Berchas Anatias Yadayim, Ad Soif Berchas HaTorah. There are 18 brachos. Let's see what they are. You have Natilas Yadayim, Ashar Yatzar, Elokai Neshama. We'll come back to Berchas HaTorah in a moment. You have Hanois Nosach Vivina. You have Shosani Gosh, Shosani Yavad, Shosani Isha, Poikeach Ivrim. Mal B'Sharum, Mater, Asrim Zoikiv Kefufim, Roikar, Salmayim, Shasli, Kotzerga, Mechon Zadigavra, Oizer Yisabak Vura, Oiter Yisabak Safara. And Hanoisin Layoiv Koyach, which by the way is a later bracha, so we're not going to count that for a moment. And then Hamaver Shena, so that's already 18. So if you don't count Hanoisin Layoiv Koyach and you count Berchas Torah as 1, those are 18 brachas. Anyway, what do these 18 brachos correspond to? Hineheim kedugmas hayurches azkaros. They correspond to the 18 mentions of Hashem's name. Sheyesh ba'oisan hapsukim shel Yehi Chavoid Hashem la'olam. That are in Yehi Chavoid. Ukeneged hayurches azkaros sheyesh b'shiras hayam. Also, they correspond to the 18 mentions of Hashem's name in the Az Yashir. So there is this repeated theme in Tefillah of the 18 brachos and 18 mentions of Hashem's name, Berchas HaShachar, Yehi Chavoid, and in Az Yashar. This is repeated again in the Arizal and the Sha'ar Kavanos, that the psukim of Yehi Chavoid that we say after Mizmor Soida, there are 18 psukim that have 18 azkaros that allude to the 18 worlds that are Mekabel Shefa from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and this all is to remove the Chakal Tapuchin Kadishin. That's why, says Ari, in the 18 psukim of Yehi Chavoid, there are 137 words. And if Im HaKoilel, there are 138 words. Keminyan, Chakal, Tapuchin. Okay, so off the bat, even without knowing the translation of Yehi Chavoid, we know that its format is very significant, namely that there are 18 psukim in Yehi Chavoid with Hashem's name mentioned 18 times. Now, is that true? Let's see. We're gonna make a tally of the psukim and of Hashem's name. You have Yehi Chavoid Hashem li'olam, Yismach Hashem b'ma'asav. So Hashem's name appeared twice there. Yehi Shem Hashem vayrach me'atav v'yad olam. There Hashem's name appeared once. Mimizah Hashem zayim hulo Shem Hashem. Ramal Kogoyim Hashem al Hashem Kvoidai. Hashem Shimcha Li'olam. Hashem's name appears twice. So in 5 psukim, Hashem's name already appeared 7 times. Hashem b'Hashamayim heichin kisamach. So mashallah. Yismuchu Hashamayim v'sagel azrim v'goyim Hashem malach. Then you have Hashem Melech, Hashem Malach, Hashem Yimlach Leilam Va'ed. There, God's name appears 3 times. So in 8 psukim, Hashem's name already appeared 12 times. Hashem Melech Olam Va'ed of the Goyim Artzai. Hashem Hefer Atzas Goyim, Heinim Ashvais Amim. Rabbi Moshe Zavish, V'atzas Hashem Hisakam. Atzas Hashem Le'olam Tam Nasu Davdar. Gemara Yehi. There Hashem's name doesn't appear. Kivachar Hashem b'tzion even Moshe. Kiyakar b'chalai ka. So now here we have ka. Are we going to count ka? Ki lo yitosh Hashem amay machadazav. V'hu rachum yichabram l'ashaz ribla shapol v'yer ka chamasoi. There God's name does not appear. Hashem hoishia hamelach yaninu v'yom krinu. So now we have 18 psukim. That works out. How many mentions of Hashem's name? 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. We have 19 mentions of Hashem's name. And ka. So we'll have to see what to do with that. How do we deal with 19? The Arizal says it says Hashem's name 18 times. Okay, let's see Reb Schwab. Reb Schwab says that actually we should not be skipping to Yehi Chavayit so quickly, because on Shabbos we add 9 chapters of Tehillim before Yehi Chavayit. We have Lam Natseach, we have Hashamayim Esabrim, we have L'David B'Shanoi Seis Tamoy, we have Tefilla L'Moshe, we have Yoshev B'Seser. So Lam Natseach is Perek Yotes, L'David B'Shanoi is Lam Dalet, Tefilla L'Moshe is Tzadi, Yoshev B'Seser is Tzadi Aleph, Hallelujah is Kuf Lamed Hey, Haidu is Kuf Lamed Vav, Raninu is Lamed Gimel, Mizmor Shiur is Tzadi Beis, Hashem Malach is Geis Lavash. And that's 9 besides Nishmas. Ube'emes b'chol yoim oimrim b'psukei dezimra tisha mizmar tehillim. The truth is, every day we say 9. They are Haidu and Shiru. Haidu is Tehillim Kofei Aleph through Tezvav, and Shiru is Tzadi Vav. Now the truth is, we don't really say either of them from Tehillim. We say the way it appears in Divrei Hayamim. But we could construe it as saying 2 chapters of Tehillim, because it's similar to 2 chapters of Tehillim. We say Mizmar L'Soida, we say Ashrei, we say 5 Hallelujahs. So it comes out that on Shabbos, instead of saying 9 chapters of Tehillim, we say 18. Why would we say 18 chapters of Tehillim on Shabbos? Did you realize that? That in Mizmar L'Soida, we say 18 in Psukei D'Zimra on Shabbos, we say 18 chapters of Tehillim. Why? Because since we don't say Yud Ches Bracha, since we don't say Shemona Esrei, we say Yud Ches Mizmayrim. Now the truth is, we don't say Mizmar L'Soida, but in lieu of Mizmar L'Soida, we say Nishmas. So very important. We say 9 chapters of Tehillim on weekday. We say 18 on Shabbos in lieu of Shemona Esrei. Really, it's 17 because we don't say Mizmar L'Soida, but Nishmas is, so to speak, the 18th. Now, this concept of 18 is found in Yehi Chavayit as well, because there are 18 psukim. Now, the truth is, one of the psukim is not a real pasuk. It does not say anywhere in Tanakh, Hashem Melech, Hashem Malach, Hashem Yimloich, Li'olam Va'ed. Did you know that? That this verse in Yehi Chavayit, Hashem Melech, Hashem Malach, Hashem Yimloich, Li'olam Va'ed, does not appear anywhere in Tanakh. It's a made-up tefillah. It's morkav from 3 different psukim. But it's counting as one of them over here, and it's connected the 18 brachos of Shemona Esrei. Now, 19 times Hashem's name appears, connected, that's connected our Shemona Esrei. So it's very interesting because the Arizal says that God's name appears 18 times. So I wonder what the Arizal is referring to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. I wonder what the Arizal means when he says there are 18 mentions of Hashem's name. Because there are clearly 19. Unless you say as follows, that the pasuk, Hashem Melech, Hashem Melech, Hashem Melech, since that's not a real pasuk, those three count as one. So you say if they count as one, that's only 17. Maybe the Arizal counts the word ka. Ki Yaakov bachar loi ka Yisrael l'skulasai. But the bottom line is, we have a tradition that Yehi Chavoid has 18 psukim, and according to what Reb Schwab is saying, 19 mentions of Hashem's name. You have 9 mizmarim of Tehillim during the weekday. You have double that on Shabbos. Even though it's really 17, we count Nishmas as the 18th. Now, says Reb Schwab, Kvar hikdamnu b'Pesach shel Shiur chelek psuke d'zimra mechuven keneged ulam sheba'azara. Reb Schwab has a great thesis that each part of davening corresponds to a different area of the Beis HaMikdash. The 12 steps in the platform of the ulam are the Yud Gimel Midos of Rabbi Shmuel. The Pesach HaUlam and the Pesach of the Heichal are Baruch She'amar and Yishtabach. Now in the ulam, we learned in Masechta Midos that there was a golden chain set into the roof of the ulam, that the young Kohanim would go up and they would see the crowns of Mashiach and Zerubbabel. Now, to be able to see those crowns, the young Kohanim would sort of climb up through these chains, and they were therefore Masake in the Tefilla of Yehi Chavoid from various psukim that are scattered throughout Shas, and similar to the Psuke de Zimra, which are concepts that are chained one to another. In other words, Psuke de Zimra is similar to the chains in the Ulam, where one mizmar and one pasuk is chained and linked to the other. And this is very apparent in Yehi Chavoid if we could examine the psukim. Here, take a look. If you have a siddur, I invite you to please open up your siddur. Otherwise, it's going to be hard to maximize the benefit of this shiur. Let's start with the first pasuk. You have the word Yehi, and you have the word Le'olam. So that pasuk, Yehi Chavoid Hashem Le'olam, comes from Tehillim, Kuf Dalid, Lamed Aleph. We then string it together with the pasuk Yehi Shem Hashem Mevayrach Me'ata V'yad Elam. That comes from Tehillim, Kuf Yud Gimel. That comes from Hallel. Why do we string these two psukim together? Reb Schwab says because they both have the name of Hashem, Yehi Chavoid Hashem, and Yehi Shem Hashem, and you have the word Olam. So in other words, both psukim have the name of God and the word Olam. And I would add, both psukim also start with the word Yehi, meaning they are similar psukim. I would add, they both start with Yehi, they both have Hashem's name, and they both have the word Le'olam. Now, once we started with the pasuk in Hallel, Yehi Shem Hashem V'rach V'yad Elam, we continue in Hallel, Mi Mizrach Shemesh Ad Mevayoy Mehulal Shem Hashem. So we're saying a pasuk in Hallel, a pasuk Gimel and Dalet of Kuf Yud Gimel, and this pasuk also has the Shem Hashem. Because in the pasuk before we said Yehi Shem Hashem Mevayrach, now we're saying Mimizrach Shem Hashem Vaymulo Shem Hashem. So both psukim have the subject Shem Hashem. Then we say Mimizrach Shem Hashem Vaymulo Shem Hashem. Then we say Ram al Kol Goyim Hashem al Hashamayim Kivaydai. What does that have to do with anything? We have Hashem's name, and we have the word Kivoidai, because we started with Yehi Chivoid. So now we say Ramal Kol Yom Hashem Ala Shamayim Kivoidai. So that's connected to Yehi Chavoid. Then we continue with the Shem Hashem and La'olam. Hashem Shimcha Li'olam. So we have the Shem Hashem, and we have again Li'olam. This is what we mean by stringing together, Negadelcha, braiding. Now, this is very important. We said earlier, we talked about the gadlus of Hashem on the Goyim, Ramal Kol Goyim, and the Shamayim. So we mentioned Hashem's greatness over the Goyim and the Shamayim. Now we put both together. Hashem Bashamayim Heichin Kisai. So now we're mentioning the word Shamayim, and Hashem is Malchus, his Malchus over the Goyim, Malchus Bakal Mashallah, and then we say Yismechu Hashamayim. This goes Vagoyim. Again, Hashem's Malchus in the Shamayim and the Goyim, and we're mentioning Hashem's Malchus, Hashem Malach. And then we make little segments of various psukim. Hashem Melech is from Tehillim Yud. Hashem Malach is Tehillim Tzadi Zayin. Hashem Yimlech Va'ed is from Beshalach. Then we continue Hashem Melech Olam Va'ed Avdu Goyim Me'artzai. Now once we said Avdu Goyim, we continue on that theme and we say Hashem Heifir Atzaz Goyim Heini Machshavois Amim. And once we say the word Eitzah, we throw in a continuing pasuk. After we mention Hashem's Eitzah, from Lamed Gimel Yud, we say Hashem Heifir Atzas Goyim Heini Machshavois Amim. Hashem nullifies the counsel of the Goyim. And then we say Rabbis Machshavos Lo Shvatzas Hashem Yisakum from Mishlei. And we say Atzas Hashem La'olam Tamid. So these are all psukim that deal with the Eitzah of Hashem. Atzas Hashem Yisakum, Atzas Hashem La'olam Tamid. Okay. Now this is almost, I would say, prophecy. Reb Schwab points out that in the end of days, we see that the nations of the world have an assault on the concept of mishpacha, family, on the unit of family, of a father and mother and children. That holy entity is assaulted in the end of days. And the psukim say, Avdu goyim me'artzai. In these psukim in Yehi Chavaid, we're talking about the destruction of goyim. Avdu goyim, heifer atzas goyim, heini machshavos amim. Why are we talking about the nullification of the goyim? The answer is, in the nations of the world, their existence as an entity is merely practical. It's only political. In other words, case in point, the United States of America. There is nothing that the individuals of the United States of America have in common. Not ethnically, not culturally. All they have is basically a pact of practicality. Let's all get along for the betterment of society. But there's nothing intrinsically that unifies them. I mean, just this week, the New York Times drew up what the United States of America's new flag should look like. A fragmented flag based on a whole host of different ideals that may be contrary to each other. But the country functions as one unit because it's a matter of practicality. The entire foundation of the nations of the world, of Le'umim and Medinos, is only because they want nationality and independence. And that's why you have so many nations today, because each nation wants their own independence. But there's nothing really that unifies a nation of inherent value. La'asid lavai, there will be no such thing as nations. There won't be countries. There won't be Italy, France, Germany, England, United States of America. These made up practical entities will dissipate. Hashem heifir atzas goyim. God will nullify the council of goyim. Heini machshavos amim. And the concept of goyim will become batal. The concept of amim will become batal. All that will remain is what the entity that existed in the beginning of time. From Avraham Avinu, what did God tell Avraham? V'nivruchu v'cha kol goyei haaretz, kol amei haaretz, kol le'umim. No, v'nivruchu v'cha kol mishpachois ha'adama. The only entity that has intrinsic recognition is the family unit. That people are together because of relation and closeness of a father and mother with children, grandchildren, and so forth. This is what it means. Avdu goyim me'artzai. The phenomenon of goyim will be abolished. Hashem hefir atzas goyim. Heini machshavos amim. And all that will remain is the family unit. This is all atzas Hashem from the beginning. That la'asid Levi, this is how it should be. Umachshavos Levi, this was his thought, that this should be the Seder L'dar Vadar. In other words, the only unit that God intended from the beginning is the family unit. And this is what will be la'asid Levi. And that is why Reb Schwab says, and I'll read to you his words, because to me these are prophetic words. It's almost unbelievable. Lachein bizmanenu, misnagedes, hatuma, lekasher, mishpachte, lekasher mishpachte. That is why the koyach hatuma opposes more than any other entity in this world the family unit. V'nishave ruach, and it created the spirit hamonea lahamadas mishpacha shel avaim, to prevent the establishment of father and mother. You look in our country today, yeah, the country is very strong, but what almost doesn't exist, the family unit. The assault on the family unit, the assault on the entity and the sanctity of the household, of father and mother, in banum ubanois, kishzile zeisim, like sons and daughters around the table, va'achim va'achoyos. Ad kidei kach, says Reb Schwab, that the koyach hatuma has been so powerful that it even endorses the concept of marriage, min b'minoi rachmana litzlan. In other words, as part of the aggrandizement of goyim, amim, nations, the breakdown of the family unit has been assaulted by the koyach hatuma, where how many stable mishpachos are there among the nations of the world, to the extent that they've even assaulted the sanctity of marriage, and they promote nesuin min b'minai. This will all become batal asalavai. V'yoimru ba'goyim Hashem malach. The goyim will say, God has ruled. You know what will happen on the day the goyim will say God has ruled? They will then put ads in their newspapers about the importance of traditional marriage, about the importance of traditional family values. That will be on the day V'yoimru v'agoyim Hashem malach, when they recognize the malchus of Hashem. That will occur when avdu goyim, heifir atzas goyim, heini machshavos amim. Now, the final 4 psukim of Yehi Chavod, Reb Schwab has a phenomenal diuk. I mean, the way he interprets these psukim, this is a true prophecy. That the fall of the goyim and the elevation of family values. But he then points out that the final 4 psukim of Yehi Chavod all start with the word ki. Ki hu amar vayehi hu tziva vayamayid. Ki bachar Hashem b'tziyaniv l'mashavlai. Ki Yaakov bachalai kayisos gosai. Ki lo yitosh Hashem amai. Says Reb Schwab. We know Chazal tell us, it's Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, Gemara in Gittin, that ki has 4 meanings. It can mean if, meaning im, or ka'asher, oif, then, meaning when it will be, maybe. It could mean ella, which means but, be aleph, beis aleph tes, meaning even though, but. It can mean because, mipnei, beis yud kuf aleph zayin, because. And these are the four possible meanings. If, maybe, but, and because. Says Reb Schwab, in these four psukim that all start with the word ki, all four uses of ki are displayed. For example, we say ki hu amar vayehi, hu tziva vayamod. Meaning, maybe. Ki hu amar, maybe he'll say it, then vayehi, it will be. It will be. Hu tziva, maybe he'll command, then it will stand. So it means maybe. That's the first definition. The second that's actually the second definition. The first definition is Ki bachar Hashem b'tzion. When God selects Tzion, evil l'maishavlai. So the first one is maybe. The second key is when. When God selects Tzion, that He will desire it as His place of Moishav. Then we have Ki Yaakov bachar loika Yisrael eskulasai. There, ki means because. Because Hashem selected Yaakov, therefore Yisrael will be His treasure. Even if we're not roy mitzad to be His treasure, and that the Shekhinah should dwell among us, nevertheless. So the third key is because, and the fourth key is ki lo yitosh Hashem amai. It's but, meaning even when we don't deserve to be ki Yaakov bachar loika, ki, but at the very least lo yitosh Hashem amai v'nachalas lo ya'azav. So again, ki hu amar vayehi. If God says, maybe He'll say it, it will be. Hu tziva, maybe He'll command, and it will stand. That's maybe. Ki bachar Hashem is when God selects. Ki Yaakov bachar, because. Ki, but. Now, but because we're very distant from this gratitude and we recognize our great deficiency and we're not fulfilling our tafkid for which we were created, therefore we're mispalel v'hurachum yechaper avoin v'lo yashches. Now, the first time we said it in Haidu, it was a bakasha for every individual. Now we're saying it as on behalf of all of Klal Yisrael, that even if the all of Klal Yisrael is not worthy to be Am Segula, therefore, at the very least, v'lo ya'ir kol chamasai, to punish us difficultly. And we conclude, Hashem Hoshia Hamelach Yanin V'Yam Kareinu. This actually is the conclusion of the first part of Pesukei Zimra, namely called Negadelcha. This is where we're stringing together the various psukim, and now we get up to the part Nishabechacha, where we praise Hashem, which will be the next segment that we begin. Be'ezus Hashem, next week we're going to continue with continued analysis of Yehi Chavoid, and until then, I wish everyone a good Shabbos. If those who did not get the updates regarding the timing of the Shiur, if you please sign up either for the email or the WhatsApp so that you're apprised on the time. There was a Levaya today, so this way you'll know the timing of the Shiurim. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful Shabbos. Shkayach.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.